The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Faheem, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Faheem, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Faheem.
Good morning, folks. Good Sunday morning. It's gloomy and rainy out there. This is the Lightning Strike on WCPT. I'm your host, Mohammed Faheem. Joining me today is Dr. Sheila White.
Good morning, Chicago.
And Dali Silverberg.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Dali. So good to see you back on the air with us. So, folks, on this final show of the year 2025, before I go further, I just want to make a quick announcement that my co-host and co-starter with the show, Ken DeLuke, passed away last night after a brief illness. So please say a prayer for Ken. We're going to be missing him. He's been off the air with us for about a couple of months now, trying to recover from a brief illness. But we got great memories of Ken. And I am going to see if I can put together a short montage of Ken in the coming weeks or so, and then play it back for you guys. But on this final show of the year, folks, I want to focus on 8 different topics to wind up 2025. Not to overwhelm you, but to connect the dots. Because when you step back and look at what's happened over the last year, one thing becomes clear. This has been a year of instability, political, moral, and institutional. And none of it is random. And that is something that should concern all of us. So we look at foreign policy and power without guardrails. Let's start off with that. Let's start overseas and offshore, okay? Earlier this year, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth authorized strikes on boats in the Caribbean, actions that legal experts and members of Congress have called unlawful and unauthorized. These actions escalated tensions with Venezuela, raising serious concerns about the U.S. drifting towards conflict without congressional approval or public debate, and straight-out lies that these boats were bringing in narcotics into the United States. Come on, 2,000 miles away? That was not true. We know that now, because now we're going after the Venezuelan oil and they want to have regime change, or we want to have regime change over there. At the same time now, reporting has revealed that wealthy tech executives, the so-called tech bros, were effectively buying high-ranking positions in the U.S. Army Reserve, bypassing traditional service and accountability. If that does not alarm you, it should. Because when money buys military rank, democracy is already in trouble, and we know that. Let's look at number 2. A year of authoritarian signals at home. In January, President Trump attempted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and then barred journalists from the Oval Office. They refused to use that name. That's not branding, folks. That's coercion. By February, June, and October, something else happened, something historic. An estimated 7 million Americans took part in anti-King protests across the country. I was one of them, and Dali, you were one of them too, right?
Yeah, I volunteered, or I went to my small town in Mount Vernon. Yeah.
Yep. So not just in one city, everywhere. People protesting immigration raids, tariffs, corruption, authoritarian behavior. 7 million people don't protest unless something is deeply wrong. In February, the world watched as Trump and J.D. Vance berated Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in the Oval Office, humiliating an ally fighting for survival. Then in March, ICE arrested Mahmoud Khalil, a lawfully admitted permanent resident, for helping lead protests at Columbia University against Israel's war in Gaza. Let that sink in. Legal resident, political speech, arrested anyway. That is a line that democracies do not cross lightly. By June, the Trump-Elon Musk alliance collapsed in public. We saw what happened over there, exposing a power struggle between two men used to getting everything they want, and neither accountable to voters. That same month, Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hartman and her husband were murdered in what authorities described as a politically motivated killing. The suspect, a 57-year-old Trump supporter, is alleged to have targeted her for political reasons. And shortly afterwards, conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was murdered. Before facts were established, President Trump immediately blamed Democrats and progressives. Division first, truth later, if at all. By October and November, the federal government shut down after Republicans ended enhanced ACA tax credits and cut Medicaid and Medicare while making tax cuts for the wealthy permanent. Healthcare stripped, wealth protected. And still, the Epstein files remain undisclosed till they had to come up with an act and law in Congress forcing the Attorney General to release those things in the Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice continues to withhold full release, and suddenly they come up last week with, oh, there's 1 million more documents. Ask yourself why. Then in November, voters sent another message. Zohran Mamdani won a landslide victory in New York's mayoral race, rejecting fear politics and choosing solidarity instead. A couple of weeks back, I spoke about Doge and what happened with Doge, but let me recap. Earlier this year, Trump appointed Elon Musk to run an extra constitutional agency called the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, sure, Doge. No congressional authorization, no oversight. Thousands of federal employees were fired. Funding to the Department of Education was frozen. U.S. aid was dismantled. The result, according to humanitarian groups, thousands of children and adults in Africa died from starvation and preventable disease because food and medicine never arrived. They were sitting in warehouses over here and around the world, not delivered. That's not efficiency, folks. That's cruelty disguised as mismanagement, or like they want to call it, management. In April, Trump declared what he called Liberation Day, slapping massive new tariffs on imported goods. He promised trillions in revenue. What Americans got instead was higher prices, higher inflation, and more pressure on working families. Let's look at number 4 on my list. I'm sorry, my rant is going to be a little bit long today, Sheila, but I want to cover up a lot of stuff that is happening, okay?
There's a lot of things happening.
I'm telling you. So in April, Pope Francis passed away. He was succeeded by Robert Prevost, a 69-year-old Chicago-born cardinal who took the name Pope Leo XIV, a reminder that even ancient institutions can change leadership with dignity. Contrast that with politics over here. Let's look at some other bad news that happened last year. Deaths that shook our culture. This year, we lost cultural giants. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, Sly Stone, Ozzy Osbourne, all gone to natural causes. But America was also shocked when actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were murdered, allegedly by their mentally ill son. A tragedy underscoring how badly we fail mental health in this country. Number 6 on my list, and I promise I'll finish off on number 8, nature, neglect, and consequences. In January, wildfires in California's Palisades and Eaton areas killed 28 people and destroyed 16,000 structures. We all see what's happening in California right now, right? In March and May, tornadoes and floods killed 67 people across Kentucky, Missouri, and Virginia. In July, flash floods along the Guadalupe River in Texas killed 135 people, including girls at a summer camp. We all remember those visuals, folks. Experts say cuts to the National Weather Service left offices understaffed, delaying warnings that might have saved lives. Yeah, mismanagement again. Okay. Who do we blame for this? I think we need to blame ourselves for failing to elect the right people. Number 7 on my list is aviation and infrastructure failures. Over Washington, D.C., an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines flight, killing 67 people. Reports point to FAA staffing cuts as a contributing factor. Again, consequences. Number 8, finally, violence, radicalization, and state power. This year also brought horrifying acts of violence. January, a truck attack in New Orleans killed 14 people. July, a gunman with suspected CTE killed 4 people in Manhattan building housing NFL offices. In August, a shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school killed 2 children. September, a former Marine attacked a Michigan church. December, mass shooting at Brown University killed students and an MIT professor before the shooter died by suicide. And from May to today, ICE raids have terrorized communities in Los Angeles, Chicago, and beyond, seizing people without warrants, separating families, violating due process, and using violence with little accountability. And as if all that weren't enough, President Trump wants to rename the Kennedy Center after himself and renaming federal buildings and spend the year publicly attacking journalists, especially women by name, calling them all kinds of, I don't even want to use those words, Sheila. This is in chaos. It is authoritarianism by accumulation. Small abuses, then bigger ones, until people stop recognizing the country they live in.
Mm.
Okay, let me end this today, folks. This is our country. We need to take it back, okay? And there's nothing that is more important for us than taking our country back. The question isn't whether this is sustainable. It's whether we are willing to name what's happening and whether we are willing to stop it. This is the Lightning Strike on WCPT. Stay with us. We'll take a quick break and come back on the other side of the break with our Person of the Week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can always go back to our website. We're going to be posting all our shows over there, which is www.tlsradio.com, or you could visit YouTube and look at our YouTube page also. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back on the other side of the break.